Well, I thought it was excellent. I don't think there's any equivalent, certainly in the north of England.
Superb performance. Cast was superb, everything was excellent in it. Really enjoyed the evening.
You really do get an opportunity at a reasonable price, I think, to listen to singers who are tomorrow's stars. Marvellous production, excellent voices, very surprising for what we thought was going to be a provincial opera.
When I first came here, I didn't really know what to think, you know. They said it's an opera farm, and I thought, you know, different. And I was quite surprised, you know. In the middle of nowhere, as it were, there's this opera house.
Essentially, the word opera farm, I think, is not a bad title, in that we're trying to be a part of the growing process in a natural way of those who are going to actually grow into healthy operatic plants, if you like.
I think that there is something about working with performers in this situation that is different from most other places, insofar as everybody is here together without any other distractions.
The whole exercise at Clonter consists of putting singers through very intensive periods of coaching and rehearsal, and the performances themselves are part of that, a continuing part of that training exercise.
The essence is to borrow the most talented singers we can get and hopefully give them more confidence in their ability in themselves and help them to leave us with a bit knowing more about themselves and the music which we're doing as they go into the profession. We certainly rely very heavily on the help of the heads of opera at the conservatoires and also individual singing teachers who think we are offering something worthwhile tend to offer singers to us. And we hear every year about 100 new singers.
Before as soon as you've got yourself pushed in, push those curtains back.
Right, I do it with my leg in the opening.
Well, you do it before the screen comes. Oh, you can just push them back.
To take one example, Mary Plazas this year singing Norina has already been at the Royal Northern College of Music and at the National Opera Studio in London, and she was very anxious to get this role into her repertoire and saw studying it at Clonter and being given the opportunity to perform it at Clonter as a great opportunity to get into the role.
I came here to understudy, when I first left college, to understudy here and do, you know, small chorus here. And that was fine, you know, and it can feel a bit sort of unrewarding really, but there are no stepping stones when you leave college. That is the problem. And you leave college now, I left at 23, and that's no age, and it's very unlikely. There's very, very few people that can go straight into it. And can go in and be taken over by a major company. The thing I think to remember with Clonter, and it's the thing I found, and that's why I've come back to do the odd concert for them as well, is that it's the setting, and it's the atmosphere, and it is very much the people and what you're working with and what you work on. I mean, you've got a good director in Patrick Libby for a start. I mean, there's, you know, and so you want to work with him.
Quick look at it, but then off.
I've worked with quite a few directors now, and he feeds you, but not. I mean, you have people who will spoon feed you. I don't like that, because I like to be able to give something for myself. But he'll feed you with the right amount to leave you to do the rest. You know what I mean? Where other directors won't give you anything, and you're left there thinking, God, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do?
Okay. Now, the look that you give to Narina as the cousin isn't clear unless you take the glasses off, because what you do is you just peer over your glasses. You see, well, however you do it, you're still looks in character. Right. You actually got to take the glasses off to give her that look.
Posto che l'avvantaggio, anzi, signor fratello, il dottor m'ha la testa.
That's it. And again, not too much voice, but posto che l'avvantaggio, very, very nervous. I very much like coming here and working with the younger generation that is just beginning to emerge, having worked for many years with the professionals who have been far more experienced people on the whole. Of course, there are younger people involved also with the bigger companies who are on their way up. But here you get this concentration of young talent all working together, and I find that fascinating. At evening time, once more.
Voglia dir che alla sera la signora amarrà la compagnia. Qualche volta al teatro, sentimenti quai lodo.
There's a little peg, so could you make sure the peg is flush against the wall?
We thought for some time that it would be good to take one of our productions elsewhere. The problem was, of course, since most of the participants had to go back to another term, it wasn't really practical. But recently we have arranged for young singers to take over a production, the April production, from the Opera Studio, and to tour with it. And that enables us to take it to schools primarily, and we hope possibly other venues. And we not only take the performance, we organize workshops before the performance. And this enables the children to understand a bit about opera, to, having understood it, they get enthusiasm for it, and the final thing is the performance.
It was, actually it was very moving. We had children at Ellesmere Port who had never seen opera before, and I don't think it had even seen live theatre before. I think they found that it was actually extremely accessible, and that it actually had some reference to their own lives, and that they were moved by the music and moved by the dramatic situation, which means that in the future, possibly, you know, if there is an opera performance, they might say, oh, well, let's go and see it.
We, at the moment, are managing to balance the books. We do it by raising half our income from ticket sales, and the other half, which is about £50,000, we have to get from sponsorship and grants. We've been very lucky in having a lot of voluntary help, and the staff here have come here for very much discounted fees. And my wife Anita has worked extremely hard to help me to keep the thing going, and we've been very lucky.
We are a local company, but national cover, but we feel we want to actually help the arts in the whole of the Northwest, and we support a number of the major operations, but we think it's also important to support the smaller operations, and Clonter is one of those. The great thing we're looking at is quality, and this is a marvellous opportunity for the youngsters to actually come and perform in public, and it really is a tremendous quality, and that's what impressed me over the years.
Couldn't leave with that backlight. We should have these tree pots on really as well.
I think in this community, before Clonter started, probably opera was looked on as something a little bit remote and something that they weren't interested in. I think it's actually brought it home to us, and it's got that reputation now, which is spread. And with sponsorship, actually, you bring guests along who otherwise wouldn't get involved in opera, so it's good in that respect too.
So what time does it start tonight? Yeah. And what time is it supposed to be? 8 o'clock?
7 tomorrow.
Why?
It's because the audience find it very hard to get here on time
Oh.
on Friday night.
Jeffrey and his wife Anita, who backs him up all the time, they both have the most incredible reserves of energy to go into all the organisational aspects of the business. Jeffrey himself, of course, is intensely interested in singing. He is the son of a very distinguished singing teacher, and he himself sings very well and has a very deep knowledge of what singing and performing, and particularly opera, is all about. Everybody who comes here to study knows that, and very quickly gets, if they haven't met Jeffrey before, know that his energies are devoted with complete integrity to doing what is best for them, and he has a deep knowledge of what is best for them.
The important thing is that the singers go away and keep on improving. And hopefully, if we get the potential employers here and the press, that if they get a favourable impression, that it will enhance the employment prospects of the singers. Sometimes my own family say to me, why are you doing this, if he gets upset about it? And I suppose the answer must be that having got into this situation of having a small theatre and having built this thing up to wherever it is at the moment, that I believe we have achieved something, that we are giving singers a niche. I think I'd rather call it that than a gap. We're providing a little sort of quiet place in the country where they can do a lot of intensive work, and it must be that I do it because I think that it's worth, that I can see the progress. even if it's only temporary, we can see them coming not knowing something and perhaps not having necessarily a lot of confidence about doing it well, and by the time they leave, hopefully, most of them have done a role well, and they've been heard by the opera managements. We may have had a crit in the paper, but most of all, that they leave here with more confidence in themselves.
I've learned a lot about, actually about the voice. I didn't think I was going to learn, but there's a lady here, Catherine Wilson, and she's sort of more or less helped us out of our shells. It's very difficult to energise and to get yourself into a role when there are so many things going on, and you've got to cope with not only a different language, music that you haven't learned, you haven't known for very long, perhaps haven't had time to learn it. And what she's helped is she's actually helped us by freeing our bodies, to free our voices as well.
It's the chance to have the experience, which you wouldn't always get in which college you're in, because I know we're controversial here, but in some colleges they have favourites, and coming to a place like this, there's no favourites. You just get on with the role, the character you're portraying, and you just do it to the best of your ability, and it's a good working environment to be in.
They have a knack here. I don't know what it is, but they do.